Good morning and welcome. Happy Friday. I'm Joe Jaquin, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group, and our toll-free number, 800-951-0592, the website at allamericangold.com. And I hope you're all having a great day, getting ready for the weekend. What a week it has been. The shortened week, the holiday week. We got all our new programming going and all of these things happen. We got a movie night tonight at the radio station, and just couldn't be happier with how things are going. Of course, Jason, I've done none of it, really. I'm just making myself available for a few more hours of the day. Jason is the one who's had to shoulder most of the burden. He's joining me this morning. Jason, I'm sure you're ready for the weekend.
Yeah, well, I'm actually going to work part of the weekend, so I got more going on Saturday. 9/11. Brian and I have been doing a 9/11 show since we started doing the radio station 3 years ago, and we got a spot at 5 o'clock tomorrow. If you're in Arizona, it's 1360khnc.com. You can just click the play button at 5 o'clock Colorado time, which I think it's 4 o'clock Arizona time right now. But
yeah. So we're an hour behind, but 4 p.m. tomorrow Arizona time, 5 p.m. Mountain or Colorado time. At 1360khnc.com. You can listen on your phone. You can listen on your laptop. For those of you that are smarter than me and Jason, I know that if you've got a car that's been made in the last, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, you can somehow Bluetooth it. I don't know how to do that, but for those of you that know how to do that, you can do it that way as well. You can actually listen to 1360 all day long, Jason.
That's correct. And you're being a little modest, Joe, about your involvement. I think Joe has a little bit of physically not working guilt, when it comes to running the radio station. But without the money behind it, Joe, this wouldn't be going on. So, money is time, and you spend a lot of your time getting this thing going.
Well, we're trying our hardest out there, and just a lot of great feedback from everybody. We appreciate it so very, very much. A lot of things to talk about today. Joe Biden, got to talk about that yesterday. What is the impact? For those of you that missed it, Joe Biden has laid down the gauntlet. And again, I've said this all along. I mean, in the early time, back when even Fauci was denying, oh, no, we're not going to mandate vaccines. I'm like, yeah, they are. Everyone's getting it. Last night, the president came out and said any business with 100 employees or more. So this is all, it's one thing to say, federal employees, federal contractors. That's one thing. No, any business with more than 100 employees, going to be mandatory that all of your employees be vaccinated, and if they're not vaccinated, I guess you got to fire them. And the ramifications of that, I can see so many people out there, and really, whether or not you're for the vaccine or against the vaccine, here comes the government telling you how to run your business, Jason. And for a lot of these employers out there, they are probably petrified because there's a good handful of employees that, hey, I'm out. If that's what the rule is going to be, I'm out. Now, I feel horrible for the people that, hey, I feel trapped, right? I don't have savings like a lot of Americans, and who knows, they may be making good money. You make 50, 60, 70, 80, you may be making $100,000 a year, maybe more. But if you follow what the central bank tells you what to do, right, you spend all of that money. At the end of the month, right, you've got nothing left. Maybe you've got a 401k, that's it, that's all you've got, and you're going to be forced into it, just like I said that would be. But can you imagine, because most companies, you rely on a small handful of really key people. And if you lose those key people, it's going to be incredibly detrimental to companies' businesses out there. And again, I was shocked at the tone shocked at the our patience is wearing thin, and basically you're an evil doer if you don't get the vaccine, and now the government all but mandating for the large portion of the country that this is what their fate is going to be, Jason.
Right. And I think for the businesses under 100 employees, that'll be dealt with the Patriot Act, and you'll be a domestic terrorist. Because Biden earlier in the week said that if you're not getting the vaccine, you're a terrorist. And with the Patriot Act, if you're deemed a terrorist, you could be arrested, placed in jail for any length of time, forever really, with no charges, no evidence.
No due process.
No, that's right, because you're a terrorist. And they've used the word domestic terrorist since January 6th, Joe. And then anybody with those businesses, like let's just say the radio station, if we're not mandating, we could be put on the list, I guess.
So it's going to be very, very interesting. I think this is bad business. This is bad for America. But we'll have to wait and see. I think I'm hoping there's going to be a lot of pushback. I don't know, but it doesn't matter. Push back all you want. It's coming whether you want it or not. And you almost can't believe it. It's 2021. And, this is, we talk about socialism and communism, and we talk about, how far we've gone into that. And still there's a lot of people that don't want to believe it. And then you just see what happened last night. It's amazing how we've lost freedom in the United States. When we get back, though, the producers, well, they had a little thing to say about Jay Powell's transitory inflation. We'll talk about the new record that was set this morning. 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour. It was the producers today. So when you think about producers, right, these are the guys that make the stuff that we consume. Right? These are the guys that before they get to the shelves or whatever it may be, these are the guys, they see the prices first. For the 9th straight month in a row, which, by the way, is a record, never in the history. Now, to be fair, this particular version of this report has only been around since 2010 because they changed it, like they like to do. So maybe during the 70s we had this, but 9 straight months in a row. Producers like, it costs more, it costs more, it costs more. To a new all-time year-over-year record high of 8.3%. So think about, just for a minute, the Fed will admit to 5%. Producers are saying, hey, the cost for me to make this product is 8.3% more. Now, if you're a business owner and it costs you 8.3% more, Jason, are you only going to raise prices 5%?
It's probably going to be a lot more than that, Joe, because that number is
right. You're not going to be in business very long. And business owners out there, right, Jay, you just can't raise it 8.3. That won't cover it, will it?
No, it doesn't. That's not the right number for some of these things.
And so when you're sitting there and we're starting to look at, it's transitory. There's nothing transitory about any of this. We've seen, Japan, if we want to count them as a economic force of any kind, they've started tapering. The ECB, they've started tapering. We're waiting here. I'm going to tell everybody, get ready, because when gold and silver are going to move. They're going to move as soon as the Fed decides we're going to start tapering, or they're going to come out and just admit, hey, we're not doing anything. Right now, I liken it to pro wrestling, Jason. Jay Powell is like the pro wrestler doing a promo before the big match, and he's talking a big game. Let me tell you something, brother. It's just going to be transitory, and I'm going to go out there, and we're going to win the match, and I'm going to do all my great moves. Right?
Right.
I mean, there's this whole little script, and he's going to get all my Hulkamaniacs, right? Right, which is just nothing more than the parade of idiots that they put out on TV to cheerlead for him and tell him how great he is. But then the match starts, and unlike wrestling, this isn't scripted, right? This is real life. And the second the talking is over, and we know every time, every week, don't we, Jason? We get a little closer to, okay, it's time to put up or shut up, right? Yep. It's time to put up or shut up. And we're getting very, very close to that. I really think, listen, they've got 4 weeks, 5 weeks max left before they're going to have to put up or shut up. A lot of it having to do, same thing with the debt ceiling. All of these things are coming together very, very quickly, and that's when you're going to see the big move. But producers coming out this morning, Jason, in 9 straight months in a row, and now saying year over year 8.3. And here's the funny part, or not even funny, probably the bad part. Jason will tell you this as well. How many companies was inflation running at 10, 15, 20%, Jason? Right.
And it's hard for me to resist this, but yeah, you're talking about wrestling and how Jay Powell's, bragging up the match. I don't know why this popped in my head, but it's. I remember a match I watched when I was younger, and it was you had the tag team with the 2 dwarf wrestlers and the big wrestler. Right. But you have the big. So what's popping in my mind about Jay Powell is he's like the Hulk Hogan. I remember this one match where Andre the Giant and his 2 dwarf wrestler companions, and then there was the other guy. I forget who the other guy was. But you have the big match, and all I can envision is when Andre the Giant picks up one of the dwarf guys and throws it at the other guy, and it just turns into dwarf tossing. That's what we're looking at. They can say whatever they want, and they can claim anything they want, but really it's just dwarf tossing in the end.
I gotta laugh because one of my, I always, and I've said this, I've got a few guilty pleasures. One of them is Maury Povich. Right? I love that show. I don't know why. Right, but it entertains me. You are not the father, right? That always entertains me. I always wish that we could hook Jay Powell up to the lie detector and put him on Maury.
Let me make a comment, Joe. I'll bring it back real quick because the real inflation from the beginning of the century is 9%. So you're saying 9% over the nine months. I don't believe that for a minute. And he can kind of prove this because, for example, I can remember 1999, 2000. I can remember a loaf of bread. You could still get them 79 cents, 99 cents for a loaf of bread back in those years. Now, those same loaves of bread that I see in the store are like $2.50, Joe. And that would be about 20 years of 9% per year. Gold has done the same thing. Gold's gone up 10% a year from the beginning of the century. So when you're saying the last 9 months is 9%, no way, Joe. There's just no way. I think we're looking at 24%. Easily.
Well, and again, just look at SNAP as an example, the food stamp. They raised it 25%. What does that tell you? 25%.
That sounds like the normal number.
This is probably where it is, and they're talking about. We had the producer prices out yesterday. The Biden administration just stepped all over itself with those idiotic comments about, it's if you just don't buy the stuff that's going up. Right. Well, today, I guess they're trying to make up for it and warning about food prices. Not only beef, poultry, and pork. And by the way, they're now going after trying to make the meat packers the bad guys in all of this, saying, hey, those guys are making money, but the farmers and the ranchers aren't. That's absolutely true. And don't believe for 1 minute that's exactly how they wanted it. They wanted to get rid of small farmers. They wanted to get rid of small ranchers. They wanted to get rid of small processors. And that's exactly what they did. We'll do it, and I know he's on our list. We'll get Bill Roberts on the half-empty cup of Joe. He's an expert on all of this, and he can just lay it out. I bet you he's sitting there right now just shaking his head going, I told you, because he was bringing this to our attention years ago, Jason.
Yep.
And now the Biden administration is trying to, divert the blame for and let's face it, what the Democrats and the Republicans did. But I love how they do it. Hey, oh, by the way, shame these meat packers. But by the way, this is the system that we engineered. Let's not forget climate change, right? So climate change, between the unvaxxed and climate change, this is really where all of our problems are. Labor issues, and again, there's no labor issues. There's not a labor issue. That's a false narrative. The issue is there's not people willing to work for $15 an hour, Jason.
That's correct.
They're not willing to, or anything below that, period.
And when it comes to the
food, the reason is simple, because they can do math. I did the math.
When it comes to the food,
guess what? I can't live on that.
The food inflation, Joe, that you're talking about, and I mentioned it, I think, earlier in the week, but I think it's worth mentioning regularly. I was watching this video. The guy sells prep food, the 25-year life in the can or in the bag. And this guy, he's a seller of this stuff. And he says by October 15th, the guys that he gets his supply from are raising the prices 15 to 30%. And he was showing us some examples of his pouches and his cans. This one can had 595 grams in the can. The new can has 540 grams. He's losing 10% in the can and getting 15 to 30% price raise by October 15th. And that's real. That's real food weight. Real food weight.
Yeah. I mean, and when you're talking about, shrinkflation, right? We've documented Costco, right? I mean, most people, and I think this, and maybe I'm wrong, but, what do you go to Costco for? Well, I need toilet paper and paper towels, right? For the office and whatnot. All as they did is not only did they raise the price, they also put less in it.
That's right.
Hey, let's take 50 sheets off each roll of toilet paper. Let's take 30 sheets off of each roll of paper towels, and we're going to raise the price. I mean, it's just the other day I was telling you we were in the store. We spent $100, bought nothing. I couldn't even believe it because it gets worse and worse and worse. But I was in the cereal aisle. I like to have a bowl of cereal, and I shouldn't, but kind of, if we eat dinner too early, I'm hungry before I go to bed, and I will say this, I'm getting better. I used to eat like Fruity Pebbles and Captain Crunch. I'm now like Raisin Bran. It's weird when you get older. Now like Raisin Bran sounds good to me.
A few more years, it's got to.
And as a kid, you hated it. Mom, why did you buy Raisin Bran? Right? But
a couple of years, Joe, you got to do oatmeal.
Right. So the family size box. Now the family size box used to be enormous.
You barely put it in the back of your station wagon.
Right. I mean, it was big. Right. It wouldn't even fit in the plastic bag. Right. You're like, it sticks out of the plastic, and it was almost comical. You should see the size of this thing now. This. When I was a kid, this wouldn't even been like the small box. The family size is now what used to be regular size, and really probably less than regular size. Family size box of cereal. You're lucky to get 8 bowls of cereal out of the family size.
Now it'll fit it'll fit in your cabinet, kind of where that little space that nothing else fits. Yeah. Now it'll fit there.
It'll fit there just fine, right? That's absolutely right. It is absolutely crazy, but we've got, and again, Jason said it on Tuesday. I agree with him. Something has changed. Wall Street down again today. It tried to rally this morning, and it just couldn't do it. You just can't look through. When you start reading what these producers are saying about inflation, you can kind of see the writing on the wall here. The last I checked, Wall Street now down over 100 points, so it's gone the other way here. Gold, depending on where you look, gold's either down $1 or up $2. It's gold $17.97. Silver just over $24 to the ounce. Yeah, Wall Street's down 150 right now as everyone's trying to process between what Joe Biden said yesterday, the economic data that's out today, and of course, what is the Fed going to do as it comes to decision time? The clock is ticking, and we've already had one Fed governor go the other way. We'll see what all the rest of them do here, Jason. But either way, they taper, good for gold, good for silver. If they admit they're not going to taper, good for gold, good for silver. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back right after the break. 800-951-0592. Yesterday, we had that huge silver sale. We had 8 bags. I didn't realize, when it was all coming in the door the other day, exactly the quantity of it all. I mean, my vault is stuffed here. We had 8 bags between the quarters and the dimes. Right now, we've got just over a bag of quarters left, so a little over 100 rolls of quarters at $200 a roll. That is now at cost. Yesterday, it was like 16 cents below cost. Silver's actually moved higher. It's at cost at $200 a roll. If you buy 25 rolls of quarters or more, we take $5 off. So you'll be buying it almost at $1 below cost. Well, it's about 75 cents below cost at a $1.95 there. We've got, like I said, a little over a bag of quarters left. On the dimes, we've got about a bag and a half left. So that's about 300 rolls of dimes. They're at $100 because they're half as much silver. It's a $5 roll versus a $10 roll. And if you buy 50 rolls of dimes, right, you're going to save $2.50 a roll, which, again, all of that at the $100 a roll, you're buying it at cost. If you buy it in volume, you're going to be buying it below cost. If you're a new listener, or maybe you're just ready, you've been waiting to buy, waiting for the right time, it's the easiest process in the world. You just call the 800 number and just tell the girls, I want the special. That's it. That's all you need to say. And they're going to say, okay, well, in this case, since there's 2 different, which item would you like? Would you like the dimes? Would you like the quarters? Or would you like to mix them up? And if you mix them up, same rule. If you're buying up when you mix them up, well, you'll get the discount. But you can mix and match. You can buy as many or as few as you like. There's no bait and switch. There's no upsell. If we're going to ship it to you, we're going to, hey, give me the address where we're going to ship you to. By the way, we ship now primarily FedEx. So primarily FedEx. And if it's a large quantity of silver or heavier, we may ship it ground UPS, but primarily we ship FedEx. And it's just that simple. There's no, and just so you know, we don't call you. Oh great, well, if I order from you, then you're going to start calling me every 2 weeks. No, we don't do that. We don't have the manpower for that. We don't want to do that because that just makes it, we'd have to charge you more. I mean, it's just that simple. Plus, you don't want to be bothered, and we don't want to bother you. But you mail us a check. You can put it on a credit card. We charge 2% for credit cards. And we take Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and Discover. You can bank wire. I mean, you can pay us pretty much all the usual ways of accepting payment. Once we have good funds, we ship it to you, like I said, primarily FedEx, or you can come right to our offices. We have an office here in Phoenix. We got an office up in Colorado where Jason's at, and you can save yourself the shipping fee. If you're a first-time customer and you want to pick up, first time, we'd like you to either bring cash or a cashier's check, just so we can establish ourselves. If you are a repeat customer, your check's good with us. And you can bring your check in, pick up your product, and go out the door. We try to make it as easy as possible. And like I said, we're not like any other gold companies out there and gold dealers out there. Truly, we've been doing this for 25 years, which in this day and age, that's saying something, without a complaint. And we don't have the what do you call it, Jason? The Twitter reviews. I don't even know what they're called. We don't want you to do those. We don't need reviews for doing our job. That's right. And all these other companies, they get all these fake reviews and solicit for reviews to tell you how great they are, and then come to find out they're usually ripping you off. But when you do business with us, that's how we do business. I like to say we like to do business the old-fashioned way, with a handshake. So it's just that simple. And when you're buying metals at cost or below cost, that's not normal, right, Jason? I mean, listen, we got to make money,
right?
But this was a trade. This was a unique situation. This came out of an estate. And he was trading some utility silver, a lot of utility silver into gold, and we were able to make this work out and pass the savings along to you, and that's why we're able to do it. As soon as we're out of these, right, we're going to see prices go back. You're going to probably see dimes $115 and rolls of quarters probably around $230. So it's a big savings today. 800-951-0592. By Monday, I'm pretty sure that's where we're going to be, Jason.
The cheapest junk silver in the world.
You're really proud of that.
I love it, man. I want people to get excited. This is something you should get excited about. You're putting something away for your future. Your future self will always thank you for the savings you do today. And I taught that to Jack when he was young. The 17-year-old Jack is going to thank the 9-year-old Jack when you really need this stuff, Joe. And you should get excited about it, I think.
Yeah, well, absolutely, especially with silver. This is the first time since the pandemic started that you're going to get government hallmarked silver. And for those of you that don't know, I guess we should say this because we take for granted our audience knows, this is pre-1965 quarters and dimes. So our government, our dimes, quarters, and half dollars used to be silver. 90% silver. Then after 1964, they took all the silver out of the dimes and the quarters. So all of these dimes and quarters are 1964 and older. And it's some people refer to it as junk silver. Some people refer to it as utility silver. Others refer to it as 90% silver. But that's what we're talking about. This is all government hallmarked, U.S. government hallmarked material, pre-1965, dimes and quarters. 800-951-0592. When we get back, one of Jay Powell's, brown-nosing members of the Fed was out. She just came out, a Janet Yellen supporter. Mester, she is the Cleveland Federal Reserve president. She obviously was smoking a bunch of weed before she came up with this ridiculous. You're not going to believe what she thinks is going to happen in 2022. This is a reason why these people should be able to get fired. This is just ridiculous. I'm going to share it with you next. 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour. We got to get the lie detector out. Where is Maury when we need him? My favorite dwarf wrestler, little person wrestler, Sky Low. Sky Low, look it up. Him and Andre used to wrestle together, by the way.
Yeah.
What a great name, Sky Low. So, again, this is the talk. This is the wrestling talk. Let me tell you something, Mean Gene. Right? So, today, after the horrible data came out, from the producers. Who they just listen. They just told the truth. Said, listen, I don't know what you guys are talking about. Every month, everything gets more expensive, and there's no let up in sight. So Loretta Mester, she's the Cleveland Federal Reserve president. For her, she's not Lael Bernard. She's not the next anointed one, but she is going to become a voting member next year. So not all Fed governors. You know, when the Fed votes on interest rates, only 9 of them get votes. One of them being Jay Powell, the other being the vice chair, and then 7 of the banks. And there's 12. There's 12 Federal Reserve banks, so there's five people that don't get to vote, and it just kind of rotates. So right now, she doesn't get to vote in the Fed rate hike or no, and of course, no rate hike, right? As we know, but she becomes a voting member next year. So she came out today and said, "Yeah, I still think that we should start taper before the end of the year, but I'm just not sure when yet, and I could still change my mind." Which, okay, but she wanted to give her view of where she thinks things are going to be in 2022. And I was like, okay, well, since you're going to be a voting member, I'd like to know this. So she starts by saying, I think some of the supply constraints should come off, which should stop prices from rising further. What? Well, why would you think this? And, of course, they act like supply constraint is the only reason. That's not the only reason. Right as she was saying this, Toyota comes out and says, oh, by the way, we're going to make even less cars. The shortages are getting worse, not better. I told you Ford and General Motors said, listen, this thing's going to last, this shortage going to last to 2024. All of the producers in the producer price index talked about constraint issues. And again, how much wacky tobacco was she smoking? But this is the best part. She says, remember now, she's going to be voting on rate hikes. That she's got 2% inflation, Jason, penciled in for 2022.
Yeah, I see them getting it done depending on what measures they take, Joe. They can get it back to where they want it, but they have to take some measures that are going to be breaking the system.
Well, listen, this is idiotic. Now, she said, I've got it 2% penciled in because we're going to stop tapering altogether and we're going to start raising rates. Okay. Right? I could believe, to your point, I could believe that.
Yep.
Of course, the Dow's going to lose 10,000 points, right? And we're going to go into that recession that they tried to avoid.
Maybe 15.
That's not what she said.
Maybe 15 to 20,000 points.
Yeah, well, you could be right about that. And this is the problem, right? They think this magic fairy is going to show up. The inflation fairy is going to show up and just wave her little magic wand and say, oh, yeah, we're right to where we're back to 2%. Everything's great. This is idiotic central bank thinking. It makes no sense. And this is why, listen, again, if she had said what Jason said, hey, we're going to get to 2% in 2022, and let me tell you how. Taper's done. Matter of fact, we should announce it at the meeting in 2 weeks that it's done. Of course, she didn't say that. We're going to start raising rates to fight inflation. That's how we're going to get back to 2%. Nope. We're just going to magically get there, and all these problems are simply going to disappear, Jason. And well,
Joe,
again, fantasy land.
Let me defend her position slightly. Let me say it this way: we don't get to be in the rooms of people that she's in. You know, she doesn't. She rubs shoulders with people that have very specific control on what goes on in society. And if she sees some massive emergency other than economic that's going to happen before, let's just say February of next year, and then they can make the excuse that the economy is crashing and burning because of this emergency. She can get back to her 2%. Nobody's going to really be paying attention because another COVID thing, a terrorist attack, whatever, has caused the markets, the crashing, Joe. So this is one of those things when they talk, sometimes you got to listen because, well, okay, so she's saying we're going back to 2%. Well, what does that mean? That means, like you said, it's got to be a massive emergency. Something bad's got to happen. And these are the type of people, Joe, that might have that kind of information that something's going to happen.
So you're saying what?
That she possibly has the information that something's coming other than economics.
They're setting up for another little crash to scare everybody, so they don't have to raise rates.
Or they
don't have to taper.
Or they raise the rates because of the so-called emergency, and this is how they got to save things. But everyone's just going to have to deal with the massive crash.
Patriot Radio News Hour, final segment coming up. Final segment here on this Friday. The silver spectacular sale continues here. Rolls of silver quarters at $200 a roll. Buy 25 rolls. Save $5 a roll. That brings your cost to $195 a roll. Well below cost. Silver dimes, $100 a roll. Buy 50 rolls or more of dimes. Save $250 a roll, brings you down to $97.50 a roll. Below that $2 per dime cost, which Jason and I both agreed, I never thought I'd see that again. At 800-951-0592. The Dow is down again. Producers coming out saying inflation has gotten worse again, now up 8.3%. As they are going to start passing all these costs along, and then we get these really weird central bank comments. Loretta Mester, the Cleveland Fed Reserve president, somehow we're going to get inflation back to 2%. Jason says, now I say she's obviously spent too much time in Colorado and got the old Rocky Mountain High, if you know what I'm saying. But Jason says, hey, wait a minute, let's not be too harsh. Maybe she knows something we don't.
Yep. And Joe, I mean,
maybe she knows something we don't.
You know, why do you have a Fed chief like Jay Powell constantly talking about COVID? Really, what does that matter to him? He can say he has to react to COVID, I guess.
Right, it shouldn't matter at all.
But he talks about COVID incessantly. The guy talks about COVID all the time. So is that the emergency that's going to crash markets? And then, we're going to have to raise rates now and we got to do all this stuff now because it's already crashed anyways. Let's fix it while it's crashed. I mean, to me, that's how you do it.
How about, could it be the Moo variant?
The Moo variant, yeah. The Moo variant.
Could it be something like that? Oh, wait, we got this everyone's got to get vaccinated, and only to find out, oh, wait a minute, that vaccination doesn't work, right? And I don't know. Could be. Could very, very well be. I don't know which one's worse.
Well, Joe,
right? Either she's totally out to lunch, or she knows something we don't, or what I think really, if you ask me really what I really think, she's just being untruthful.
That's very possible, Joe. Very possible.
Yeah, she can't really say what she truly believes.
But when the Fed said they were going to taper back, several years ago, they did taper. When they say they're going to do stuff, they do the stuff. The timing is off sometimes, but they do the stuff they say they're going to do. When they say that this is transitory, I've got to believe that that they're telling the truth. They're just not telling us what that storyline is going to actually be.
Right. Great point. Remember the last time Janet Yellen was still running the Fed when they quote unquote had started tapering.
That's right.
Of course, the balance sheet was supposed to be down to I think $2.5 trillion. Of course, we're at what, almost $9 trillion now. So you're right. They did taper. It didn't last very long. What did it last? 6 months, something like that. And then they said, "Whoops! Not only do we need to stop tapering, we actually need to go back." Right?
They did slowly up the rates over a couple of years, though. They kept trying to up the rates a little, quarter point here, quarter point there for a while. And then in 2018,
yes, they did. You're right. They snuck in a few rate hikes, and then you're right. And then the reality is all the nonsense that they told us was the truth turned out not to be the truth. That's why you put gold and silver away. 800-951-0592. God bless everybody. Patriot Radio News Hour will be back on Monday.